Arch Report. My name is Daniel Vallis and welcome to our channel. Reminds us of Trafalgar Square at London, where the world's attention has been brought back to because their messaging is coming full circle too. Remember, they set up the Palmyra Triumphal Arch in April. So we're coming full circle with the enemy's messaging as well. They are looking just like the wise men were looking. And attention recently has been brought to Big Ben on the world stage. The time and the location and the symbolism there that they've been weaving into other things as well, using a lot of events with the 322 on 322, March 22nd, and in multiple media venues bringing attention to symbolism that the enemy would recognize. And others have talked about how attention was drawn toward the helicopter that made the dramatic landing right there, and how they have the Masonic compass right on it, because it was sponsored by the London Freemasons. Right on 322, with the clock pointing to 322. You cannot chalk these up as coincidental. They recognize the fingerprints of this, and they know exactly what's going on, and they also know this was not a real terrorist event. This was a message, done deliberately. And this event brought attention toward the Freemasons and the helicopter. They landed it right in front of everybody's face practically. And it's interesting, the pictures even had the obelisks in the background too. This is symbolism they would recognize. They knew fingerprints were all over it. And they were waving it literally in front of everybody's face. They were broadcasting how the symbolism should be interpreted by the Freemasons, by the mystery religions, by the secret societies, by the ones who have been preparing the foundation in the background awaiting the son of perdition. Going back to the gods of Egypt like we have talked about before. They knew how to interpret all this symbolism. They knew that attention was being drawn toward time. The clock, the location, and all the other messaging that has been put out over the past year. So they brought attention to Big Ben and Westminster and the clock tower. And we also have seen attention drawn toward Trafalgar Square because it tied the two together, and they then had the vigil there at Trafalgar Square right after they announced the palm date syrup winged bowl that was going to be set up right there at the same location, which also reminded us of the strong tie-in with The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, bringing attention toward this square, Nelson's Column, the Timekeeper, and Big Ben also as well. And how they're also messaging it would lead to the Red Horse of War, who would be given a great sword, like Revelation talks about. This is messaging that they're familiar with. They know what is being called to the forefront right now. What is a cue card? And the water as time as well. And so the events with the helicopter at Big Ben reminded them, and reminded us too, of The Edge of Tomorrow, how it starts out with the helicopter flying by Big Ben and actually making a hard left turn at it to bring attention toward it, even though they're supposedly flying in a straight line. They have to suddenly make a turn to bring attention toward Big Ben, because they're connecting both these, the helicopter symbolism and Big Ben. And just for reference, there's Trafalgar Square, and then right next to it is St. Martin in the Fields. Very important symbolism. Again, this is what they use in Alice Through the Looking Glass. St. Martin in the Fields reminding that the church is going to fall back. Before the son of perdition can be revealed, the church will fall back. The wise bride will be moved out of the way. They know this is an important part. This is why they have to signal it, because they cannot make their strategic advances until that happens, until that fallback happens, that departure happens. And so then, right after it swings by that, to remind and tie that aspect in, the helicopter lands right where they set up the Triumphal Arch, because it's picturing the hero who comes onto the scene through the gateway. Now, an important scene right after that, though, draws attention to this corner called the fourth plinth, which even in the movie they have artwork set up on. And this is the announcement of where they were going to set up the winged bull. And so these scenes and all these things are connected together, because when they're bringing attention to the fourth plinth, it's also bringing up to memory what they had shown before on the fourth plinth in connection with their other messaging at Trafalgar Square. And what artwork was that at this time? The fourth plinth rocking horse was unveiled in February of 2012. A gigantic bronze boy on a rocking horse. This is what was in the background, known as called powerless structures. Very interesting. It was called powerless structures, but colloquially most people called it the golden boy on the rocking horse, or the golden boy. But it strongly reminded me of another golden boy, another golden figure that the enemy uses a lot in their messaging as well, and we've seen before. Prometheus at Rockefeller Center. This caught my attention because there's a lot of similarities between both these structures of how they're even posed. The golden boy, who was set up at Trafalgar Square, tied with the Edge of Tomorrow, even has his arm held in the same position, even has the exact same hairstyle. Almost the exact same hairstyle. There's a lot of similarities between these two. When you see this golden boy, you are reminded of this golden boy, Prometheus, at Rockefeller Center. And this is what they were signaling. When you saw Tom Cruise land in Trafalgar Square with Golden Boy in the background, the connection with him arriving on the scene as a hero is tied toward Prometheus. They're reinforcing the message there. They are expecting their Prometheus figure to return, their Golden Boy. And it caught our attention at the time. The mayor of London, Boris Johnson, said about the Golden Boy, "It seemed fitting to have such a gleaming talisman to watch over our city during this fantastic Olympic year." But it caught our attention how they refer to it as a talisman. There's a magical aspect to it. They are expecting their Golden Boy, their Prometheus, to arrive on the scene. And this was in 2012. And where was the Olympics in 2012? It was in London. So they set up their Golden Boy in London the same year they were having the Olympics. And you'll remember at the Olympics, very significant, they had a lot of phoenix symbolism, which is also tied to Prometheus, who brought the fire. 2012 was a threshold year, when they really kicked things into high gear. But you'll also remember another thing that was unique with the 2012 London Olympics, besides the phoenix, who fell from the sky and connected with fire, was also the James Bond film Skyfall, with 007, a reference to John Dee from the English court there too as well. But descending to the underworld, time is water, death, you can see a skull there as well. They are expecting their son of perdition to come from the underworld, and this is also tied in with the Alice Through the Looking Glass in the underworld. But Skyfall they promoted at the Olympics, remember, with the stunt of James Bond and the actor playing the Queen jumping out of, falling down like Lucifer from the helicopter, again a helicopter, right above the Olympic Stadium. And this was one of the opening stunts, so definitely drew attention toward Skyfall, what they were representing, and the Olympics and the Phoenix that would come with later emphasis. And of course in the Skyfall, it's about Skyfall tied to Cernunnos, Pan, the god of the underworld. It's all connected. They've been expecting their Phoenix. And this is what they're symbolizing when the helicopter landed right there at the gateway to the underworld. That's what that shape of the fountains represents, through the watery doorway to the underworld. They're symbolizing they're expecting their Golden Boy to arrive onto the scene, the Prometheus figure. And it all goes back to time, the Phoenix concept, the timekeeper, and all that, directly in line with Big Ben. And all this was recently called to mind again with the cue cards that they put out, reminding them it's time. Remember the cue cards we laid down before, signaling that it's time. They know the time. And they also know who's been preparing the way, tied back to the gods of Egypt and the secret societies and the mystery religions, expecting their Prometheus, their Lucifer figure. That's who the Luciferians are expecting, Lucifer. And Big Ben, we covered before, is right in line with Trafalgar Square and Nelson. And when they were setting up the Triumphal Arch right there, it was right in line with all of this. So messaging at the one points directly to the other, and we've seen that recently as well. So they put out the Masonic messaging at Big Ben with the 322, on 322, with the helicopter tied back to Trafalgar Square and the messaging there. And one reason they could so blatantly push the Freemasonry is because it's thick in this area. They would recognize it full well. This wasn't just accidental. They have the Supreme Council, 33rd degree, right over here, the offices for them. And then right over here is the United Grand Lodge of England right up there. This whole area knows Freemasonry full well. So when these cue cards and these messages were given off at Big Ben in Westminster, there's a lot of people who recognize what they were really talking about. A lot. This United Grand Lodge of England is very important. We've talked about the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C., and you'll find these secret societies set up in major cities and capitals because they are greatly involved. But this would be the counterpart in London, the United Grand Lodge of England, the oldest Grand Lodge in the world, is right here in London. They knew full well the messaging that was going out. And in tours of this place, they have right at the top their blazing star, which references Lucifer, also references Sirius, their hijack of it. And so much messaging here. They've been preparing the way for Lucifer, their illumined one, their light bearer. This is who they're waiting for, their golden boy. And this symbolism, how they frame it and structure it, should remind us of other messaging that they're familiar with too as well. Their Sirius Prometheus figure coming through this type doorway should remind us of some other messaging we've seen before very recently. With Tom Cruise Oblivion falling down through that exact same sky and design framework ceiling mural, which is right in the library where they had the arch events tied with when it was set up in New York City. He fell through this ceiling, which symbolically the Masons would know the blazing star would be right there. And for reference, right in the foyer, they have Prometheus right there on another mural too as well. So they know the symbolism of him coming through the ceiling, through the mural. That was not lost on them at all. We've seen this so many times repeated recently. They are expecting their Prometheus figure. And especially where they set up the arch right now, this has caught our attention the most because it ties together all the messaging we've seen before, especially with the Inferno movie right here, where they also had someone fall through the ceiling, Prometheus-like. And we've covered this before. All these arch setups, they have these exact same falling Prometheus figures because it's all building with a consistent message for the Hercules, Nimrod, Prometheus, Lucifer type, who they expect to come through the gates very soon. And they know celestially what time it is, what gates are about to be opened, both the good and the bad. They know what time it is. And this final place right here, set up at the Piazza della Signoria, is very important because it ties so much together that they've been messaging over the past year since they brought attention to the Triumphal Entry a year ago. They know things are about to wrap up. They don't know the day or hour, neither do we, but we know we are running out of time and we see a very important first time on the horizon. And they're bringing attention back to this place where a lot of their mystery religions really got their revival started with the translation of the Hermetica, tied to Hermes, Mercury, Thoth, and the Egyptian religions, and then the Greek Hermes. The revival of these mystery religion teachings was right here. They're bringing attention back with their Prometheus figure right to here again. And this is the consistent messaging in their locations and their symbolisms and what they've been bringing attention to. Their cue cards are consistent. Their messaging is consistent. The time is consistent. And Nelson is a perfect archetype that they've been using for a lot of this messaging, because he's the timekeeper. And then, of course, his column goes to the Avenger, and that's what they're wanting to avenge, what God has done to the fallen angels. They want to avenge that with their Apollyon figure, with their idol shepherd. That's who they are expecting, the idol shepherd. They have rejected the good shepherd. And we've talked about how over the last year was the Alice Through the Looking Glass, which was part 2, which has the continuing story of the timekeeper, the white rabbit. And we've talked about before, in Greek mythologies, Hermes would be the equivalent because he is the crosser of the boundaries. And Mercury is often tied to dimensional travel. And we've also seen over the past year, really 2 years, other groundwork laid tied to, this is what they expect, with the spirals and with the dimensions and with the CERN technology. It basically goes back to Mercury. And notice the illuminated eye right there too. They know some very perplexing events are about to come onto the world. And we've seen this even with their video game too. They even tie in the alchemical symbol of Mercury even on the actual toy itself. Almost a complete exact copy of it. But they hint at it. Mercury is involved in dimensional travel. And this is again emphasized with Alice Through the Looking Glass that came out several months ago, of the Mercury and time, the Hermes connection. And that's how they portray the gateway. It's as a liquid mercury, the mirror there. And that's a reference to Hermes, to Prometheus figure. Going back to the gods of Egypt, Hermes is the equivalent of the Egyptian god Thoth. And we've seen them allude to that too as well with the symbolism. The gods of Egypt, the mystery religions, the mystery of iniquity, like Jesus said, they have been at work for thousands of years, working for this time. And we also noted a year ago, on April 7th, they put out the gateway with the palms of victory tied to Olympics last year. On April 7th, and this year is Jupiter opposition on the Triumphal Entry day. They know the celestial clock. They know what they are expecting too. They know events are going to happen before the Revelation 12 sign happens, just like Jesus told his disciples. They are expecting their phoenix figure to come onto the scene very soon, and they've been whipping up their disciples into a frenzy with all the messaging lately. We've seen it build and build and build over the past few months. They are expecting their phoenix. They are expecting their bin, their capstone of the pyramid, their great work. This is what they're expecting, and we see a whole flurry of messaging from the enemy. They know time is running out for their phoenix figure to come onto the scene, for their Prometheus figure, their Lucifer figure, the light bearer. So much coming together at this location, at this time. They know the lateness of the hour, and they know what is on the horizon. And it also caught our attention that on the same day as the EU summit at Capitoline Hill in Rome, they had another event in Rome bringing attention to the same similar Prometheus messaging. They had the EU summit on the Capitoline Hill in Rome, and the same day they had that in Rome was also in the news Rome's newest resident, Angel Moroni statue placed atop Latter-day Saints Temple in Italy. So while that EU summit is going on, they lifted up a golden statue of an angel to a summit as well, on top of their new pagan temple that they've built there. Another golden figure having attention drawn toward it. And this appears to be done deliberately with the timing. The enemy drawing attention toward their golden figure, their Lucifer figure, and that's who Moroni really is. He's an angel of light. He's a false angel of light. He appears as an angel of righteousness, but he's a false, fallen angel. And Galatians 1:6-9 makes it very clear we should never listen to any angel who brings another gospel. And that's what the Mormons do. They regard Moroni as a prophet. But once you start studying the Mormons, and especially their founder and his connections to Freemasonry, and even when you start doing just a little bit of digging, you'll find even their leaders admit that a lot of their temple ceremonies are derived from Masonic things. They know and can't deny that there's a tie-in. They try to brush it off as, oh, it's just something simple, it's no big deal. But it's a big deal because the Mormon religion is just basically another facade of Freemasonry and the secret societies and the mystery religions. And you'll find occult symbolism all over their so-called temples. And Manly Hall, who's one of the founders, so to speak, of Freemasonry, and highly regarded as authority on it, he says when the upright star turns and the upper point falls to the bottom, it signifies the fall of the morning star. So in Freemasonry, they make it very clear, a star that has the point pointing toward the bottom significantly, it signifies the fall of the morning star, basically a pentagram. This symbol you find throughout Mormonism, all throughout their temples. You find it all over it. And they make no disguise of it either. They try to explain it away with something else, but it's really hokey. But you see a upside down star with a very significant, very obvious that it's pointing downward, symbolizing Lucifer, his fall. They have it all over their structures. And even when you go to the original drawings that they had for the angel weather vanes that went at the top of the original temple, even had the Masonic square and compass on it. And so you could do a lot more study about how Freemasonry and Mormonism are tied at the hip, so to speak. But just knowing that and seeing when this happens the same day in Rome, this is happening in Rome. This isn't some place in America or some other place. This was happening in Rome, the same city as that summit going on. bringing attention to their golden boy, to their Lucifer figure, their Prometheus figure, the one who portrays himself as an angel of light, but he isn't. He's a deceiver, and you'll find a lot of his disciples, like the Bible tells, also portray themselves as ministers of righteousness, but they're not. They're fake. And that's how Freemasonry often comes across. People see it as, oh, they're just good old boys, and they do good things in charity and things for the kids, and they use that as a cover for what they truly teach. And really, when you study the statistics of it, most of their members never make it past the 3rd degree. So most of them have very little idea of what they truly teach, really no idea of what they truly teach when you get to the higher levels. But they use the ignorant minions to put in their dues and money and time and support an organization that they really know nothing about. He appears as an angel of light, but he's not. And this is what the world is getting ready for, and we see this messaging with the Freemason events on 322, bringing attention to Big Ben, also tied to the Mormon signaling in Rome at the same time as the EU summit in Rome, right with all these other messages in Trafalgar Square, and pointing toward the one who they adore coming onto the scene, the false wise men looking for the son of perdition, all capping a lot of their messaging right here at this location in Florence, coming full circle with a lot of messaging that they've been laying down over the past year, because they know the time. They know time is running out. They know Christ came the first time, and they know he's going to be picking up his purchased possession before the son of perdition is revealed. Time is running out. We see his triumphal entry on the horizon, a reminder of when he came the first time. We see so many reminders that we should be watching. There were results for those who weren't watching. We are reminded we should be wise servants. We should be wise men. We should be the wise bride. We should be the wise sheep, looking for our Lord, expecting him to appear the second time. And the more that we study the story of what happened the first time and the covenant and the redemption, the greater our expectations should be. So that when we do look up, when we see the signs in heaven, when we see everything coming together, we know that our redemption is drawing nigh. Because we've seen the story, and we see the first time on the horizon. And we see the celestial signs reminding us that he is drawing nigh. He is at the door. He has told us to watch, and so we are watching. That's what we can do. We can be faithful in watching and looking for him and making ourselves ready, trimming our lamps, casting off the works of darkness, and we can go forward in faith, just like the wise virgins and just like the wise men. We go forward with what we do know. We know we're supposed to watch. We know this is a time to be watching. We see the first time on the horizon. We're looking for him the second time. We're going to go forward in faith. We see so much coming together right now. And the Lord has been giving wisdom and understanding and strength as we go forward, and we know that he is nigh, even at the doors. Even Herod knows he is close. We are reminded that the Lamb of God, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, rode in and made his triumphal entry. And it was a triumphal entry marked by palms. And this is a powerful reminder, and something you might want to do in these days ahead while you watch with your family is go out to a floral store and just buy a palm branch just to remind you, and use it as an opportunity to teach your family and just a reminder of Christ's triumphal entry, his first time when he came to pay our price, to redeem us, to atone us. And most floral stores this time of year are also getting ready for Palm Sunday, so you should be able to find one, or even at different hobby stores, they might even have some fake ones. Use it as a reminder, something to have in hand to remind us we are expecting him to come the second time, to pick up what he purchased the first time. We are the purchased possession. We are the bride that he made a covenant and engagement with. So let us rise up. We have heard the trumpet call at midnight. Let us trim our lamps. Let us rise up. Let us go out to meet our bridegroom, knowing that our redemption draweth nigh. He is over the hill. Let us go forward in faith, encouraging one another, provoking one another to love unto good works, and so much the more as we see the day approaching. And let us serve our Redeemer, Jesus Christ, first and highest above all else. Maranatha.